Welcome back to Fickle Sports. Another game week, another score prediction. It's game week 13. There's so much football happening on in the next couple of weeks, and that is bad news if you're an Arsenal fan.
It's also bad news for us. Between our full-time jobs and doing this, I will be getting zero sleep. But that is none of your concern, because we will be here for every single game week getting those predictions in. Now, let's have a look at the previous game week and see what we got score predictions scores-wise. That was a long sentence. And for game week 12, 2 weeks in a row, Gary's going to be scared. I got 7 and he got 5, which means for this month, I now have a lead of 14 to Gary's 11.
Oh, I'm struggling. If I'm losing to you, something must be completely off. But we do have a payoff today, don't we?
Oh shit, we do. A payoff, which I completely forgot about.
Go on, get in the ladies' changing room. Change up.
I'll be back.
Ta-da! Presenting the unlovely assistant, Lexi. How are you feeling?
Don't even sound like a porn star.
You'll be one at the lowest rate, but yes.
I feel violated and I have an itchy head.
This is for skipping out on the payoff last week, so Alex is going to have to do the whole video in that lovely, lovely wig. Is it comfortable?
Yeah. No, it is not. So let's get this video done as quickly as possible. Before we get into our supporter scores, we just want to say a quick thank you to every single one of you new subscribers and you old subscribers and every single one of you that comment in our community and take part in our survey. We appreciate every single one of you and we just want to say thank you for the bottom of our hearts. Now, let's get into our supporter scores. And this week, the winner is Roberto Hollis with a total of 7 points, which, considering it was a particularly high-scoring week, there's a lot of, kind of shock results. I think it's a very good score.
Yes, well done, Roberto Hollis. You take the cake this week, but games are coming thick and fast. Can you maintain that top spot? Now, first up is Wolves versus Chelsea, 6 o'clock, Tuesday night. Now, Wolves, that is unlucky. And that's in a big derby like that, it's frustrating because Wolves played well. They were really working Martinez in goal all throughout the game, and they had the one-man advantage towards the end. So it was turning out to be a frustrating point, say, and then to concede that penalty right at the death. That is a supporter's worst nightmare, to lose a derby like that when you didn't deserve to lose. And if Fabio Silva took that shot which hit the post, that game could have gone totally different.
Yeah, for Chelsea, well, let's start off with the goal they conceded. I think Mendy will take the headlines for the mistake, but I don't think he was the only one at fault there. I think a player in the form of Thiago Silva and also of the quality that he has got, I think he would be hoping to do a lot better in that situation. But as I said, it will be Mendy who took the headlines. We can't rule out that Kepa will be sniggering a little bit.
Did you see Mendy... that was commentator's curse right there? They literally complimented Mendy and then straight away almost he comes and then clatters Dominic Calvert-Lewin, which is like... So Chelsea fans, you got to blame the BT Sports commentating, which,
I have to hold up something a bit here. I do watch quite a few games on mute because I can't stand the commentators.
Fair enough.
But they got the curse anyway. But performance-wise, I don't think it was good enough by Chelsea. I don't think they created enough chances for their attacking players. The best chances they had come from their defenders and Mount, but Mount's was a set piece and an opportunist shot from, say, 35 yards out when Pickford was way off his line. But I think Lampard will look back at this and he'll be hoping for a much better performance.
Score predictions. Who are you going with?
Wolves have struggled against big teams, and I think this is just the type of game that I think Chelsea usually pick up points big with. So I am going for 3-1, 3-2 Chelsea.
Okay. I'm going 2-1 Chelsea. I think Moutinho getting that red card is kind of a key player out for Wolves. So yeah, 2-1.
So the final game on Tuesday is Manchester City versus West Brom is taking place at the Etihad, and it kicks off at 8 p.m. Now, Manchester City in their last game, of course, it was a Manchester derby, and I mean, it was a bit of a terrible game, Gary, wasn't it? Let's be honest.
It was a proper snooze fest. There's something wrong with these derbies. I think without the fans, it really lacks the oomph to, get attacks going and whatnot.
Do you know, I was going to talk to you about this. So quickly, performance-wise, I think City kind of defended well, but they didn't create many chances. But I don't think United gave them many opportunities to create chances. I don't think United particularly went out their way to commit players, and Manchester City weren't really able to take advantage of those spaces because they just weren't there. It was just one of those games, which we've seen quite a bit this season, where both teams they just didn't want to overcommit, so it just ended up being this terrible 0-0. There was a few half chances for Jesus and Mahrez, but really it wasn't a great kind of a usual kind of City performance, which we've certainly got used to seeing over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Do you reckon it's a lack of fans? Because if Manchester United at home had fans in there, they would be under a lot of pressure to try and get a result against Manchester City. But I think these derby days, they seem to be getting a little bit kind of easier to just kind of get away with the draw because no team is under any pressure to actually go forward for it.
Yeah, it just seems like you're playing exhibition mode on FIFA and just like, well, with no crowds, like it's killing the derbies, but it's not killing football overall.
Yeah. What about West Brom? What happened with West Brom this week?
Yeah, West Brom, after losing 5-1 to Crystal Palace, the first thing you want to do is, shut up shop. Make sure you make it really difficult for Newcastle in that first half. And what do? They go on and concede a goal in the first 19 seconds to Almiron, and you're just like tearing your hair out as a West Brom fan. But they did do well to come back and equalise. Fulham. That was actually a great finish with the outside of his foot.
It was a really good finish.
Yeah, and the second goal they conceded, all right, it was actually a stunning cross and a stunning header in off the crossbar. So yes, maybe can't criticize too much with that. But yeah, it had to be Dwight Gale, didn't it? It was a really upsetting day for West Brom. And Slaven Bilic, he said it right with West Brom. They got into positions but just didn't make the right decisions at the right time to be truly threatening to Newcastle and conceding cheap goals. That's been their problem all season.
What's your prediction for this one?
I'm going Man City 3-1. I just don't see West Brom shutting up shop.
Yeah, I'll go Manchester City 2-0.
Next up is Arsenal versus Southampton, Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Now Arsenal. It's getting comical by the week. It really is. And you know what? I think it can get pretty worse. I don't see the bottom really at the moment. And that was terrible. I mean, I have to say that a confident team with strikers that are relatively on form, Arsenal would score in the first half and the beginning of the second half, but you have this fake tough guy shit from Xhaka, which really costs us to go down to 10 men. And on top of that, you have Elneny, who
I was just about to mention that.
That was quite funny. He should have gone.
It
doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to how it's not a penalty just because the ball hasn't been kicked. I don't know. It's weird, but yeah.
To be fair, that's the rule. It wasn't a penalty, but I think he's pushed him in the face. By the rule. You know what? That's probably the worst thing about Arsenal is the refs are feeling sorry for you now.
I'll take it.
The ref was like, no, I can't do this to them. Yeah. They've been through enough.
Yeah, but yeah, Arsenal are really rotting at the moment. It's going bad quickly under Mikel Arteta. I think most of the fans' frustrations are that he's sticking with experienced players who are just not doing the business for him because, I don't know, he might be scared of losing the dressing room, but he's continuing with Willian, Lacazette, Xhaka, really. It's just the team is so out of funk right now. It's so bad. And comically, Aubameyang, who's desperate to score, scores in his own net, and that sums up Arsenal really.
He has more goals against Arsenal than 4 Arsenals at the Emirates this season.
Yeah, it's that bad.
Oh, I've just worked out Xhaka. He's got a free match ban. He wants to be off for the Christmas period. He's going to be getting.
It's a relief for us.
That's enough about Arsenal, Gary. Let me save you your blushes. Save the tears for you. Let's move on to Southampton, who played incredibly well against Sheffield United. So well, in fact, did you know, out of all the teams that played in the previous game week, Southampton had the highest XG at 2.28. But it was very much a complete performance by Southampton. It was a good finish by Adams. I know that sounds ridiculous because he was only a few yards out. That's a difficult thing to do from that far with the ball being that high up in the air to get that on target. Ward-Prowse was a constant threat, although obviously for the second goal there was a very slight deflection. But that Redmond goal, what a brilliant bit of play, an excellent finish by Redmond. I think they really deserve that kind of good goal for how well they had played, if that makes sense. Because you could have said, the first goal, Sheffield United should have done better, and the second goal was deflected. But that goal kind of nipped it in the bud. They played well, and they got the result they deserved.
Score prediction.
You know what? I went with an Arsenal loss last week, and I got it bang on. And I don't know how long is this losing run going to continue, Gary? Because
I don't know, man. I'm going 4-0 Arsenal. Reverse the curse. Put the juju on. Come on. I'm going 4-0. Let's go for it.
I'm going 2-2. So another 6 p.m. kickoff is Leeds versus Newcastle, and it is taking place at Ellen Road. Now, Leeds, they've been quite inconsistent recently, and that most recent result is a 2-1 loss at home to West Ham. And I get the feeling with Leeds, it's going to be one of them where I'm going to find myself saying this quite a bit, because the thing is, they play really good at football. They play good, adventurous football. But I think the issue is the kind of football they play leaves them open to chance of being created against them. And I think there's certain weaknesses in that Leeds team which other teams are starting to exploit. And I think the worst thing is as we know, set pieces are a bit of a nightmare for Leeds at the moment. And to be honest with you, there's no worse team that you could come up against than West Ham at the moment, because they are probably one of the best teams at scoring set pieces. They are absolutely lethal when you think about the height and the delivery they've got from their players. So it was no surprise really when you saw Leeds create good chances, but also West Ham create good chances. But in the end, it was West Ham who took them, and it was West Ham who got away with the 3 points.
Now, Newcastle, that was an excellent start by Newcastle. A lovely pass by Joe Linton to set up Almiron for the opener. And that was a great, start to get Newcastle rolling. And that second goal, amazing cross. I love that cross, and I love the header even more. Cracking it in off the crossbar. Alan Shearer would be absolutely proud of that one. And that's 3 wins out of 5, I believe. So it's going in the right direction, Newcastle. It's 3 points off 6th place as well. So after a tough period that Newcastle went through, they're moving in the right direction. And Steve Bruce doesn't get a lot of credit when he does well, but I have to reserve him some credit, because he's made Newcastle into an effective team to pick up points.
What's your prediction for this one?
I think both teams are going to score quite a lot of goals, so I'm going to go 2-2 with this one.
Do you know what? Right, I didn't mention the Klitsch first penalty. I didn't mention it. Right, I saved him the embarrassment, but I've mentioned it now. So sorry, Klitsch. And I was going to say I'm not going to do Leeds 2 favours, but now I've mentioned the Klitsch awful first penalty, which he corrected immediately. I'm going to go 2-1 Leeds.
Now, next up is Leicester City versus Everton, Wednesday 6 p.m. Now, Leicester Could have been a difficult game if Welbeck took that early chance on. I think it would have been quite difficult to break down Brighton if they hunkered down. But I was really impressed with Leicester. Tactically, I think they really outsmarted Brighton. Quick combination play in midfield, and they overloaded the right-hand side, really forcing Brighton to switch and move back to left and right. So, they had Justin, who was, a constant nightmare on that right-hand side, really getting in behind that Brighton back line and delivering, excellent crosses. He set up two goals. They have James Maddison to thank for that opener, or dare I say Matty Ryan for letting that trickle in for him. But Maddison, back on form. Like, I really hope that he's going to show the form that he showed at the beginning of the previous campaign. And Leicester back in fourth position. That's where they really belong, because the injuries at the tail end of last season really punched them.
Yeah, I 100% agree on Maddison. Certainly one of the players, he's got the ability. It's just getting that consistency down. But he is young, he is learning, and he is getting better. For Everton, it was a very good result for Everton against Chelsea. It was a fantastic result for them. I think they played really smartly. It was a very tactical game, a game in which they deserved to win. And I think what's nice for Everton is they had that horrible run of form, didn't they, where they kept on losing games. And then they had in more recent games, it's been more inconsistent. But I think that's the first time that they've played really, really well, and they've got the result that they deserved, and against a team who, let's be honest, Chelsea have been one of the best teams in the league so far this season. Yeah. So I think an absolute solid performance. Calvert-Lewin was certainly on fire. He got the first penalty. And if he wasn't offside for that second penalty, he would have obviously got that one as well, because he absolutely, he mugged off Chilwell. There's no other way of putting it. Absolutely solid performance by Everton, and they'll be hoping they can do similar against Leicester.
Score prediction you got?
Oh, my score prediction. This one is a tough one, but I think I'm going to go 1-0 Leicester.
I'm going 2-1 Leicester. I think Jamie Vardy and Maddison back at it. I think they're going to do it.
Next up is Fulham versus Brighton. It's taking place at Craven Cottage at 8 p.m. on Wednesday. Now, Fulham, I don't know what it is with Fulham, but as soon as everyone has them down to lose, they just come through with the win. They did it a few games ago against Leicester in that 2-1 win. And against Liverpool, Tottenham drew against Palace. Everyone thought Liverpool was going to smash Fulham and bring them to the top of the league. But no, Fulham played really, really well. And I have to say, I think they deserved their point.
Yeah.
They scored a fantastic goal. They stopped Liverpool from creating chances. I do want to touch on the VAR incidents quickly. Fabinho I think it was a pen. I think we took him out. I think he touched, he got a clip on his leg, which made him slip over. That's Fabinho's fault.
Yeah. I thought if I'm the attacker bearing in on goal and I get taken out like that, it does look a bit soft on the replay when you slow it down. But I still think it's a penalty.
Yeah, it's certainly difficult for the referee to call, I will say. Salah, obviously, he got that little nudge in the back. Well, I think most players will go down there, but it doesn't make it any more of a penalty. And then the handball, it is a tough one. But at the end of the day, I think they are the rules. It's the rule that needs to change. I don't think you can blame the ref for that one. Do you want me to wrap it up a little bit?
No, I was going to do Brighton.
Go on.
Now, Brighton, you really just wanted Welbeck to finish that early chance. It could have been so different. But you have to say that it probably was a really good save it was a really good save by Kasper Schmeichel with his feet. And I have to say, I think Brighton got a bit outsmarted by Leicester. Leicester were on form. They tactically overloaded that right hand side, and Justin just he caused Brighton all sorts of problems. And that right hand side, similar to what Brighton have in Lamptey. Justin was terrorising them, and I'll be very disappointed with Matt. I know Matty Ryan would be disappointed himself, for letting that goal in of James Maddison. It's kind of trickled in, which was pretty frustrating. And when Leicester got the second goal, it kind of was game over, and Brighton didn't really have the fight in them, which was quite unfortunate in the end. But I'm hopeful for Brighton against Fulham. What have you got for score predictions?
I've got this one going straight down the middle. I've got a 1-1.
Ooh, I think Brighton gonna win 2-1. I think I'm gonna do it. Next up is Liverpool versus Tottenham, Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Now Liverpool, that is a big missed chance. Tottenham slipped up right at the last minute. It was their chance to go top of the table and really try and cement their position at the top, for a few games that they slipped up on, and this is one. I know Liverpool have got a bit of an injury crisis. It's really disruptive on the team.
A bit.
Yeah, pretty bad. Yota's out. That's pretty big. It's disrupted to the team, and you have to play midweek, and it's starting to accumulate. And looking at that defensive performance, Liverpool had a lot of the ball, but they didn't bring the aggression. And Fulham got in against that backline against Liverpool. They're conceding chances, quite big open chances that you don't really associate with Liverpool. So that was quite concerning. But that man Salah, if you're not playing well, you've got to nick a result, and that's exactly what they did. And they had Mo Salah to thank for that.
I tell you what, I think you could probably copy and paste the majority of what you said about Liverpool about Tottenham, because they didn't play particularly well. They come out fighting, they come out on top, and they come out to kind of dominate Crystal Palace, which they did, and eventually they got their goal from that. Although the Palace goalkeeper should have done better, but he did redeem himself. Let's be fair, he did redeem himself because he did make some quality saves after that, and a few before that, to be fair. But I think once Tottenham got their goal, I think they was quite happy with that 1-0, and I think they thought that they could keep it. But it was a mistake by Tottenham, because what happened was Palace were just able to keep on building up this pressure, and in the end that pressure resulted in a goal for Palace, which they thoroughly deserved. I think in the end 1-1 was probably a fair result, but I do think Tottenham will probably look back at this and look at themselves and think if they had maybe gone and pushed for that 2-0, they might have had that game out of sight. But it was not a great performance by Tottenham.
Score predictions. What have you got?
I think Liverpool are still such a threat, and absolute credit to Klopp for that. But I think that defence with Kane and Son in the form they're in will probably see them concede. So I'm going to go 1-1.
Yeah, it's a bit too scary, that partnership. Son, 2-yard pass, gets the assist, still counts somehow. But yeah, I'm going with 1-1 too.
Next up is West Ham versus Crystal Palace. It is taking place at 8 p.m. on Wednesday at the London Stadium. Now, Moyes, he seems to have found a system that really works well for West Ham. And to be honest with you, I think credit where credit's due. I think I touched on it last week, but of all the people in football who maybe I owe an apology to, it is David Moyes, because he has found a way and it works really well. And that is exactly what they did against Leeds. They stopped Leeds having, too many chances. Obviously, they conceded the penalty, and it was the Fabianski had his foot off the line by about 0.02 millimeters, so it had to be retaken. Another VAR decision going against West Ham there, but I think it was a very good performance, and they are so lethal from set pieces. They put in such good deliveries, and Soucek and Ogbonna were brilliant finishes.
Ogbonna's header was beastly. I love that header.
Yeah, it was absolutely unstoppable. But full credit to Moyes. He has developed this system. He's got a tactic in place. All the players are buying into it, and he's just picking off these results. And he deserves a lot of credit for it.
Yeah, Crystal Palace. They fully deserved their point. They were very dangerous against Tottenham throughout the game. Zaha and Eze, they were constant danger. Causing that Tottenham defence, all sorts of problems. And, maybe you'd say, it was a mistake by Lloris at the end, but, the pressure that, Crystal Palace kept putting on Tottenham, they might have been lucky to get it, but they deserved it, definitely.
I think you're doing Eze a bit out there, because I think that was such a brilliant ball. I don't know how Lloris was supposed to, kind of deal with that, because it dipped straight in front of him with all those players there.
I agree, but as in there was a lot of chat on Twitter that Lloris, was at fault, and I was like, I don't really think so. And even Mourinho had to defend him, which was kind of weird. But yeah, you have the star man Gaeta, who had a worldie of a performance. I will say that he did mess up with that shot from Harry Kane, where that shot was a bit of a dipper, but it didn't really swerve that much. So I don't know, but that save from Dyer's free kick, that is an amazing save. So well worth.
Yeah, for the majority of the game he was Oliver Kahn, but for one Kane shot he decided to be Scott Carson.
Score prediction. Who you got?
Oh, this is a tough one, I have to go with West Ham. I think 2-1 West Ham.
Oh, I'm going 1-1. Now, Aston Villa, you know what? You have to say they'll be quite happy with that, because they probably were going to be happy with the point, being down to 10 men. You just had to suck it up and accept the point, and Martinez was very busy in goal. He had an excellent performance, keeping out the Wolves' shots on their goal throughout the game. And, Luis, it was kind of a stupid second yellow. There was a lot of yellow cards handed out in that game, but, you don't want to cost your team in a derby. But at the end of the day, McGinn, that was a great piece of skill, at the end of the game, really took on the player and got in front of him and won that penalty, and, expertly taken away. And you know what? 3 points, derby, that's just what the doctor ordered after, Aston Villa struggling for form recently.
For Burnley, I mean, they are going to be so happy with that result. They're going to be really happy. I can't remember, what's the score again, Gary?
Oh, I don't know. I can't stop thinking about that wig that you're wearing, so
let me just... I think... I warned beforehand, because my score prediction for that was 1-0 Burnley, if you remember. Oh. And my warning to Arsenal was if they turn up and they play how they played against Tottenham, they will lose. Now, I do think Arsenal changed a little bit, like kind of their formations to try and deal with Burnley. But I think what Burnley did really well is they took full advantage of Arsenal's weaknesses. I think they knew that there was they were simmering, like they were ready to explode. They were constantly on the wind up. They did quite well at stopping Arsenal from having too many clear-cut chances. And in the end, the wound-ups got to them. Xhaka got sent off. El Neni could have also gone as well. So I think it might have been a brilliant tactical master plan straight out of the Dyche handbook. But I think that'll be absolutely... I know it was an own goal by Birmingham, but I think that'll be over the moon with that result, and rightly so.
Yeah, first win against Arsenal at Emirates. Score prediction, what are you going for?
It's a tough one. It's two teams who play two different ways, and I'm struggling with this one, but I think I'm going to go for 1-0 Aston Villa.
I'm going 1-1. It's going to be a difficult game.
And we move on to the last game. It is Sheffield United versus Manchester United, and it is taking place at 8 p.m. at Bramble Lane. I was about to do a thing there where I said it's United versus United, but then I remembered Martin Tyler doing Dear Bruyne, Dear Gaya, Dear Harvey. And I thought to myself, I don't want to put myself in a position where people are constantly taking the piss out of me. Sheffield United, that was a really bad performance by Sheffield United against Southampton. It was atrocious. They had very small moments where they were on top, but they were to and far from between. The only things I can really say about that Sheffield United performance was I think Egan maybe should have done a bit better against Adams. Yeah. I feel like maybe he wasn't aware of where he should have been. I feel like the way he went up, he kind of took himself almost out of the equation, where maybe if he had gone between the goal and where the ball was, he might have had more of a chance of blocking it. The second goal they conceded, I feel like that is just a standard goal that you concede when nothing's going for you.
Yeah.
It's just goalkeeper's got no chance. It was just one of them things. And then the third goal, I think we touched on it earlier, it is absolutely brilliant, but there's not a lot of positives coming out of Sheffield United at the moment.
Man United, thank you for that scintillating derby. What can we say? Looking at that game, I know Man City created the better of the chances, but I actually think Man United did well tactically, and they had quite good, half chances which they could easily have taken. And, in a pre-VAR world, that would have been a penalty, probably 1-0, and wham bam, thank you ma'am. That would have been a 1-0 win for Man United. But it wasn't to be. I think against Man City, just don't worry, 0-0, take it, continues the streak and, continues the form that Man United are on right now. And yeah.
What's your prediction for this one?
I'm going Man United win. I can't see more past 2-0.
Yeah, I'm going 1-0 Manchester United.
And that is all for score predictions this week. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you complete the survey and get your score predictions in. Over and out from my lovely assistant, Lexi.